Hello folks, glad you can join me. Today I'm going to try to cover a couple of topics and stuff. We haven't had a chat amongst each other in vlog format in a little bit. And so I'll cover a whole bunch of topics and stuff, and let's see if we can get right to it. This one that I'm going to start with is an ongoing one that I've been contemplating for a long time and working out the details with, and that's the nature of evil, and specifically looking at it in a fundamental sense. And the mechanics behind it, more so than looking at on the human side or a little bit further up the chain, where we're focusing a little bit more on the specific behaviors and stuff. Okay, disclaimers or whatever. You should be used to this. I might project myself a little bit more than not. I could totally remain calm and talk really low and cool, but I might run the risk of an audio that's not perfect. I'm not here to set up a studio recording. I may talk a little bit fast as well, because I'd like to run through the ideas, and we'll edit if we wind up snowballing and meandering too much and stuff. But so speed is of the essence as well. And so how can we kickstart this? How could I jump a couple of avenues and stuff? Would be one thing that we hear a lot of is that good and bad, good and evil are relative. It's a relative idea, a relative value. And one point it would be what one person perceives as good, or what literally might be good for one person, it may not necessarily be good for another person and stuff. And what one person might judge as bad or feel is bad or cross the line as evil, another person may have a slightly different one. But what's cool about that, even just sticking with that, although that is not what I really would like to focus on at that point. That's way higher up in the chain. That's expressions of the nature of bad and evil and stuff. Those are particular examples, and if those examples don't do it for you, there's always going to be an example that will. And that's bringing me to my point that I'm getting at right now, which is although there certainly are relative values to what good and bad are, okay, I firmly believe, and I always have, that there are other values that are not so fluctuating and not so debatable. In fact, and relative to a species or whatever, okay, we could even move them almost to absolutes, and in a lot of senses, and literally in some ways, in legislation, constitutions, laws, and how we govern societies, we have, or at least we hold to a standard very similar to an absolute. If you don't like to use the word absolute, what does it matter? It's absolute in the sense that it doesn't go anywhere beyond that. There's nothing more fundamental than that. And then we understand that there are no gray areas to that or whatever. A person should have a certain set of rights or whatever. But regardless, good and bad, I think we all have an understanding of what a fundamental good and bad behavior is. Definitely a bad behavior in the sense that a person should have a right to a certain sphere of who they are and stuff, so that they can agree upon interactions and stuff with them. And so it doesn't have to be as hard as what I'm doing. I just enjoying kind of making up an alternative, not an alternative, but an additional or a variation, or not just another definition. Okay, and they should be in control and allowed to have a choice to say no to what is, thrust upon them and subjected to them and stuff like that. You see, these are right. They're intrinsic and stuff, and they do fall along with our God-given rights and natural rights and our liberties and stuff like that. So when somebody doesn't want something done to them or done to their body, but somebody else doesn't listen and doesn't obey that request, that no, okay, those more times than not, and almost in a tremendous amount, to the point where we can almost universally say that is a bad behavior. And examples of these are rape in a sexual behavior. When somebody says no, okay, and the other party does not listen to that, does not obey that, and goes ahead anyway, okay, that's bad. I think that's universal. It's universally bad. In whatever species, in whatever civilization you set up, there's got to be a version of that. You can't get stupid. We can't get stupid and say, well, in some other planet somewhere, there may be a species where the way that you do mate or whatever is through a violence or whatever. Fine. If that's the law that you're going to set up, I'm still going to be able to find another behavior, another rule, somewhere within that civilization where somebody has some kind of desirable, somebody has some kind of ideal behavior for that species. Whatever that is, even if it's violence and rape, then I'm going to say anyone who comes along and prevents that violence and rape and tries to impose good would be bad. Now I know that that's a very interesting, okay, switch on it, but you see what my point was from earlier. We don't get caught up actually in the details of it, and we won't. And this is, almost like a prelude, right? Editorial note. But we're not going to get caught up in the details because we're going to go back and we're going to focus on the mechanics. We're going to focus on the nature, okay, of why it's possible to have any bad, why it's possible to have any adverse reactions, why it's possible to have evil, the role that plays, and right? And so we don't get caught up on how that's expressed, because there certainly can be variations of that and opinions about that and stuff, although I've just gave you a great little demonstration or talk or support that even further down the cause and effect chain, further down the complexity of the expression, right? We could still find absolutes or behaviors and truths and values that are very close to absolute, okay? Here I have a timer because I only get 20 minutes at a pop, so it's a beautiful life. And you'll often see me do this and stuff, probably because it's a little bit of a habit, of massage type of habit, me doing so much physical activity, being on public transportation all my life. Okay, so you seize the opportunity to do a little bit of a specific. I may have that, and also it's winter time here, and this room is in the back, so it's always a little bit chilly and stuff. And I could have put long sleeves on, I suppose, but I didn't want to cross that line and start sweating. Where is this going? You love me anyway, right? Okay, so and I do this purposely, one way that I like to kickstart myself in the contemplating and when I'm spending some time reviewing these ideas, the nature of good and evil, one way I like to kickstart myself is I take this side, I take this approach where I say, well, okay, how crazy is evil? How crazy is it? It's a rhetorical. I'm not literally asking the question as if I don't know. I'm more like saying it in a pondering sense, in a rhetorical sense. How crazy is it? What is this madness? Why would there be such a possibility, such a nature that technically, I'm not sure or not, but technically, okay, could destroy and eliminate all nature, including itself? What's the point with that? What is that? Why? It doesn't make any sense. And I know that I try to then, like a lot of us do, and there's no right and wrong here. We're just taking a specific approach, or we're going to explore many ideas. It doesn't mean that we 100% believe in this. It doesn't mean that we 100% deny this, right? We need to explore the idea, okay? Without people pointing our finger and saying, well, that's what you believe then, right? Okay? Foolish fool. So I say to myself, I say, like a lot of us do, we say, well, it must serve some kind of purpose. And then we apply that idea that we hear a lot also with like, if we didn't have hate, we wouldn't know love as well. And or even if you wanted to take that hardline stance and say, if we didn't have hate, we might not know love at all. But then I like to, it is a two-way street, right? Because if you're trying to apply a priority to it, and especially like in a time-wise, right, a temporal, chronological, what good is hate? What good is the value of hate? Hate can't be beneficial to you unless you had some kind of love, right? And love can't be beneficial to you unless you had some kind of hate. And then, of course, we have no choice from there to then say, well, they both happen simultaneously, instantaneously. They're two sides of the same coin. I mean, we have no other choice but to go that way, right? Otherwise, you say, well, love happened first. You can't have love happen first and then hate comes along, because love needs hate, right? That's our logic. That's the kind of logic we're applying and stuff. We're not just applying that logic in a perception sense then, because it wouldn't necessarily work in a perception sense only. It works completely down the line. If it serves a purpose, if we can perceive it serving a purpose somewhere over here, we need to understand, or it's highly likely that it serves a purpose throughout the chain, from the physics of it and the mechanics of it, all the way to the philosophy and the metaphysical and subjective, objective behaviors and stuff as well, right? So, I mean, you could. There's nothing, like I said earlier, we totally can explore possibilities where there was a priority, maybe where there was a, but where am I going? Where am I going with this? We're doing this in real time, right? It's not scripted in the sense that, oh, I've had this particular, I may try to share and repeat some ideas that I repeat to myself all the time and stuff, but if we were to apply a priority, when I say priority, what we're talking about is some kind of order, some kind of chronological order. It doesn't mean that we have to hold strict to time. Don't worry, we're going to talk about time today as well. And we're going to help ourselves out with that. Don't hate time. And don't believe that time is just an illusion, because it's not. Particular ideas and types of versions of time, sure. But there's lots of other versions of time which are totally real, actual representations of actual things. All right? So, meandering, right? Don't hate me for that. So what we're doing is, if we have love, and love was the first thing, then, and we're going to force that, or we're going to hold to that priority type, right? That origin. An origin state, that origin condition is love. Then the love should be complete. Should be, because we run, and we can explore other ideas, but we run into it, and we run into an incredible amount of problems. We say, well, the origin condition, for example, we say, the origin condition is love, but it was broken. I mean, you gotta see with me. It's fun. I'm not here to deny. It's fun to consider these things, but it's illogical. It doesn't make any sense. The origin condition is a broken condition. The origin condition is an incomplete condition, is an unfulfilled condition. The origin condition is a condition which needs a heaps of other shit to happen because it's not good enough. Do you understand? Are you feeling me with that? That it's not. That's not it. That's inaccurate. That's inaccurate for origin. Even if that is or was the case, or is a case in a particular state or whatever, I am telling you, I'm here to say, okay, because we can't, okay, I'm here to say that is not, those conditions which I just said are not origin conditions then. They may certainly be conditions, but they're not origin conditions. And what I was going to say after that I stopped myself with, is we can't be so open-minded so that we actually shoot ourselves in the foot. We can't be so open-minded that we move into illogic, that we throw logic and reasoning out the window. That's not going to help us either. We certainly can explore ideas, and we will, but we also must be able to be mature enough, okay? Mature enough, and when I say that sometimes we may have a preference, we may have a bias, but we may understand or learn through the logic and reasoning that bias is not the way to go, or it's not as accurate and stuff. We need to be able to put that our understandings and considerations into order and place better ones, if we do come across better ones, in their rightful place in that order, right? Let me stop for a moment and reset the camera.